Hey guys, Jacob Barnhill here with the Barnhill team at eXp Realty. Many of you may not know that Aaron and I started out in investment properties, and we learned very early on in our real estate careers how to hire contractors like a pro. I'm going to go over some quick tips. These are not all encompassing, but I promise you that these are some things that you probably haven't thought of yet to help you when you're looking at some of these repairs, as you're thinking about taking advantage of this market right now, and you're looking at hiring a contractor. These tips are going to help. Let's dive right in. So number one, we want a detailed scope of work. How do we get a detailed scope of work? Well, the first thing, the simplest thing that you can do is take a picture of everything that you want to have done in the property. And then when you go back in front of a desktop later, you can have your phone and you can have each of those as almost like a line item. And to be detailed, you want to make sure you state what it is and what you want done and even how you want it done, right? We've even had things in our scope of work, like there will, in final inspections, when they get their final check, there won't be any cigarette butts. There's not going to be any paint on the dirt. All the lines will be clean, right? There's not going to be any gaps in any of the lines with the quarter round, things like that. So you can be very detailed in your scope of work when you're going to hire a contractor with the work that's being done. Even putting SKU numbers, if they're putting in certain types of cabinets or refrigerators or whatever it is, you want to be as detailed as possible in your scope of work. All right, number two, call Six Contractors. Call Six Contractors to come out once you've got your detailed scope of work, right? Everything that you want done, all right? Usually people will leave it up to contractors to do this. If the project is big enough, I would recommend that you get this done yourself. Otherwise, if it's small, obviously you can put this on a notepad and just kind of brainstorm this before you have the contractor come out. But the nice thing is when you have six contractors come out, especially if it's a bigger job, is you already have the printed material, the scope of work that you can hand each of them. You could even put it inside the property if it's a vacant property. I'm thinking like flips specifically. If you're living in your home, obviously they would meet you. But if you wanted to save time and it was a property you didn't live in, you could put those copies of that scope of work or email it to them and say, hey, we're going to want, timelines are always crucial. Say, hey, we want bids back in 72 hours. You're probably not going to get all six contractors, but that's why we get six contractors. So we have at least a couple bids when we actually get bids back in 72 hours to compare, right? And then you can negotiate the prices and kind of compare things and learn what the prices of those items are across those couple different contractors. So you probably won't get all six giving you bids, but you'll get a couple. All right, so a couple things you want to check on. When you do call these contractors and you're interviewing your six contractors, you want to kind of get an idea of what their workload is right now. What's the size of their crew, right? Larger crews, mini crews. With large crews, if it's a bigger company, they could probably take on a lot more work. So I want to get an idea of their workload and kind of an idea if this did work out, when they'd be able to start. Kind of give them a rough idea of when I would want to start, right? And then obviously, do they have the specialty that I'm looking for, right? Now, some things you don't need to have a license for, but there are some things that you need to, and that's actually another bullet point that I have here. You want to make sure that they're licensed, and then you want to make sure they're bonded and insured. You'll get the bond and the insured documents from the contractor. You can actually go to LLR's website and check that they're licensed for your local area. That's the License and Regulation Board, right? So money saving tips. Now this depends on the project. I would be very careful. Some people don't like touching anything at all, but I know some people like to save a couple bucks and pennies. So tear out what you can and buy what you can and go pick it up. So sometimes the contractors will charge you for tear out and clearing out some of that debris and things like that, which if you can do that, you have the resources, definitely do that yourself if you're trying to save a buck. But my investor mind says no. As an investor, we're always trying to get more properties and things like that. But if you're a homeowner, or you're smaller time and you have the time and you're trying to save more money, then this may make sense. And then anything you can pick up from the store, contractors may sometimes charge you to actually go pick up items from the store. If you can go pick those up and deliver them, that's also something you'd want to be specific about on your scope of work, that you're going to procure that item, purchase it, deliver it, maybe the certain time, because some of these things are timing and the contractor wants to make sure that they're going in before or after certain things that are being done on the project. So good thing to have in your scope of work there. Agree on the timeline and pay schedule. So if it's a big project, and this is a rehab property to give you an idea, I'm never doing 50-50 on the pay. I usually try to get something that makes sense. If it's smaller, 50-50 can make sense. It's whatever your comfort level is, but usually I'm giving something enough to get started. If they're doing a lot of the tear out and there's really no cost at all, right, maybe then paying their guys, at the end of the first week or whatever he's doing, there's really very minimal cost, and a good contractor should be able to take some of those costs to get started, especially if it's just for labor. So don't give out too much if you don't have to on the pay, right? Make sure it makes sense, and then usually I leave at least 20% of the pay minimum on the back end if I'm breaking it up to make sure I still kind of keep them enticed to finish the job and things like that for larger projects. So also agreeing on timeline. Timeline not only to start the project, and also a timeline to end the project. If you're living in your home and timeline is not as big of an issue and you're flexible on the weeks, I would still establish a timeline. But if it's projects that cost me a lot of money to hold the property, I want to make sure that I'm charging that contractor if he says he's going to go over a certain time period. Usually it's about $100 to $150 a day, give or take, right? But that holds him accountable. And I always will tell that contractor, if you can't make that deadline, then let's back it up and make sure before we sign that initial paperwork and agreement to do business together. If you can't hold to that because there is that 150, and if they don't like the 150, then we might not do business together, but I want him to be held accountable to make sure that he's done. And if he doesn't like the 150 and he can back up the timeline and it's not a problem, then you see where you could probably identify whether that's the contractor you want to work with or not, if he's having an issue with being accountable before you even sign anything, right? So then what's your gut say? What does your gut tell you about that contractor? There's a lot of really good nuggets in this. I think you guys can kind of take away and get a much better idea of the type of contractor, and a good way to just be clear and make sure we're having that conversation. And I'm always a big fan, especially being in real estate, as a real estate agent, get it in writing. Right? So last point there was get that gut check, make sure that that checks out for you guys. I hope that those tips were super helpful. If anybody wants an individual plan, you want help with some of this stuff, we can definitely make some great recommendations. You guys know how to reach us, and we will see you on the next video. Peace out. Hey guys, it's Jacob Barnhill. I just wanted to hop in real quick and ask you guys to do me a huge favor. If you guys like these videos and more people can see this stuff, you can hit the like button and share it. That would be great. Also, subscribe to the channel so you get more notifications so you can check this stuff out in the future if you liked what you see here. Also, there's going to be a bunch of links below if you want to go check out our workshops, our events. We're doing stuff for investors, agents alike. We're doing tons of stuff. If you guys are interested in a career, working with us in another way, I have all the links to our websites below. Click those. Love the help. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.